Right now at noon, China increases its retaliatory tariff on the U.S. to 125%. How the trade war is a boost for some and a threat to others. Plus, the latest on the investigation into a deadly helicopter crash out east. This is News 3 Now at noon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Josh Breiter. First at noon, Beijing is now announcing a 125% tariff on U.S. goods. Wall Street seesawed this morning between negative and positive territory in response to the tit for tat. Natalie Brand reports at the White House.
President Trump undergoes his annual physical today, but it's the future health of the economy that some analysts are worried about if the trade war between the world's two largest economies persists. Overnight, China announced it's raising tariffs on U.S. goods to 125%, while indicating if the U.S. keeps playing the tariff numbers game, China will ignore it. But the statement adds if the U.S. insists on continuing to substantially infringe on China's interests, China will resolutely counterattack and fight to the end. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer reacted on Fox News.
The Chinese reaction this morning is not terribly surprising, but certainly unfortunate.
This morning, reporters asked the U.S. Trade Representative whether the U.S. is engaged in talks with China, and he said not at this point.
Small business owners like Sarah Wells are bracing for the impact. She designs bags and imports products from China.
China is the source of the raw materials for really the entire handbag industry.
But Matt Billings, whose metal manufacturing company sources its supplies from the U.S., has seen a huge boost in demand.
We went to 7 days a week. We've added multiple shifts. We have added more equipment.
While the Trump administration says one goal of the tariff strategy is to increase domestic manufacturing, experts say it could add significant costs for companies and take years. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Aside from China, the U.S. Trade Representative says talks are moving forward with other trading partners, including Israel, Vietnam, and Taiwan. The Social Security Administration is classifying thousands of immigrants with temporary legal status as dead. This essentially cancels the immigrant Social Security number. It's equivalent to financial death. Financial institutions may cut off access for these individuals. The first group to be classified as ineligible are 6,000 immigrants who came to the country during former President Biden's parole program. The White House says this will encourage immigrants to self-deport. More local news now. One person is dead after a crash in the town of Avon. The medical examiner pronounced a 26-year-old Orfordville woman dead at the scene. An adult and 3 children in the car were taken to the hospital for injuries. That happened last night at the intersection of West Skinner and South Morty roads. The investigation shows the car left the road and collided with the tree. The name of the victim has not been released. The Rock County Sheriff's Office is investigating. Now to the latest on that tragic helicopter crash out east. All 6 people on board are dead after it landed in the Hudson River in New Jersey. Witnesses say they saw the tourist chopper break apart mid-air just seconds before the crash. The head of the New York helicopter says they leased the chopper from a Louisiana-based company. He declined to discuss its inspection record. The NYPD says 4 bodies were pulled from the water while 2 more people recovered alive were sent to local hospitals where they later died. CBS News has learned the victims were Agustin Escobar, an executive at a tech company, his wife and their 3 children. Authorities say the family was visiting from Spain. The National Transportation Safety Board and FAA are now investigating. Well, the sun and warmer temperatures return just in time for the weekend. First Warn meteorologist Savannah Brito has your certified most accurate forecast. Not a bad day to be out on the patio, Savannah.
Yeah, Josh, we don't have the fog and we actually have warm temperatures. We're close to 50 degrees already right now heading into the lunchtime hour. Some spots topping out at that Cross Plains has achieved 50, 47 in Madison, and temperatures are still going to warm up out there. And we did have the sunshine sitting under a little bit of cloud cover right now, but I do think the sun will continue to come back out. Expect partly sunny skies through the rest of today. We have plenty of 50s out there. The rest of us at least in the mid to upper 40s. Everyone will see at least the lower to mid 50s, maybe even a couple spots that reach the upper 50s later. And then an even warmer day ahead tomorrow that kicks off finally the return of the farmers market on the square. I do think it'll be a little bit of a cooler start with temperatures sitting in the lower, maybe mid 30s, but at least we'll have the sunshine to start the day at least, which will allow us to warm up up pretty quickly. By 10 a.m. already 47, and then tomorrow at 1 p.m. 56. Overall, tomorrow and Sunday are looking a lot warmer than even what we have right now, and it's still mild, close to normal. We'll be in the 60s both for Saturday and Sunday, but we are tracking some showers and maybe some thunderstorms as well. We'll talk about if we could see severe weather and time all that out coming up in a bit. But Josh, at least it's nice out today.
Oh, yeah, it's a day maker for sure. Exactly. All right, Savannah, we'll see you in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Well, the head of the Wisconsin Democratic Party says he will not run for re-election. Ben Wickler has led the party since 2019. Wickler has brought a significant amount of money to the Wisconsin's Democratic causes. News 3 Now spoke to him about that impact and what advice he would offer his replacement.
Commit to the year-round organizing, the year-round communication, the constant focus on winning elections at every level of the ballot, not ignoring the local elections, and in every corner of the state, making sure that no matter how red or blue or purple an area is, we work to earn the support of voters.
We are tracking a handful of candidates considering running to replace him. Right now, only one name confirmed. That's Devin Remiker. He used to run the day-to-day operations of the party of executive director. Also, Milwaukee-based Democrat operative Joe Zabecki, Western Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District Democratic Chair William Garcia, and Madison State Senator Kelda Roys. Well, a bill making its way through the state assembly would prohibit any flag besides the U.S. and Wisconsin state flag to fly outside any state office. Republican lawmakers say there would be exceptions, those that create unity and stop division. Not on the list is any flag related to sexual orientation or gender identity.
We want to respect the military flags of the different branches of service. We want to respect the MIA, POW. We have Native American. We have 19 recognized tribes here in Wisconsin.
Raising the pride flag above the Wisconsin state capitol sends a clear, unequivocal, and decisive message that in Wisconsin, all are welcome.
Governor Evers started the tradition of flying the pride flag above the Capitol in 2019. LGBTQ activists say the unity lawmakers are what they're looking for is sewn into the fabric. Republican lawmakers introducing a new bill to prevent sextortion. The bill is called Braden's Law. It will help combat sextortion, adding harsher penalties. The bill is named after Braden Bone. His parents say he fell victim to sextortion last month and took his own life. The FBI has warned about the increasingly common scheme. It typically targets underage boys and has led to an alarming increase in suicides nationwide. The Food and Drug Administration says it will phase out a requirement that certain drugs and antibodies be tested on animals. The FDA says it's taking this step because there are testing methods more effective and, quote, human relevant. The agency says one possible replacement for animal testing includes AI-based computer simulators or even lab-grown human organs. A drug can get FDA approval only after researchers show it is safe and effective. Until now, that proof has had to be shown through lab testing, often in animals, before therapies are tested in humans. Still ahead for us on a Friday afternoon, how much the price of mailing a letter is about to go up again, plus why Fisher-Price is recalling 2 popular children's items.
You're watching News 3 Now at noon. Moving forward.
Consumer prices rose 2.4% in March compared to last year, beating economists' forecasts. That's slightly down from the 2.8% rise reported last month. The drop was fueled by lower gas prices and a decline in travel-related costs like airfare, though egg prices were still stubbornly high last month. Fisher-Price has recalled 2 popular children's items due to a choking hazard. More than 200,000 Brunch and Go stroller toys have been recalled. A post from the Consumer Product Safety Commission says the yolk of the toy egg can crack and create small parts that children can choke on. And more than 15,000 detachable tissue box toys on the Snug-a-Puppy Activity Center have also been recalled. So far, no injuries have been reported. Owners should stop using the products immediately and contact Fisher-Price for a free replacement. And the price of mailing a letter is about to go up again. The U.S. Postal Service is raising the cost of a first-class Forever stamp from 73 cents to 78 cents starting July 13th. Stamp prices increased twice last year. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Jesse Mitchell.
Here's a look at the current stock numbers at the noon hour. The Dow's up 513 points, NASDAQ up 255, and the S&P 500 up 71. Our Call for Action volunteers are in the building taking your consumer complaints and taking action on your behalf. Call for action at 608-270-2833 or submit a claim anytime at channel3000.com/call-for-action. Pam is following the farm numbers next, and Savannah is tracking the weekend forecast. And later on Live at 4, Will Loper with what's new to streaming this weekend. Welcome back. Let's check in now with Pam Yankee from the Midwest Farm Report. Farm Babe, you've got to be running on fumes at this hour.
Oh, that's all right. It was a good day. We were over at Madison College, the Truax campus this morning for FFA Ag Communication. Some of those kids were up this morning so they could make the trip for competition at like 3 a.m. Glenwood City, Denmark, O'Connell Falls, all the chapters were there. It was wonderful. The only hard part is we were all dressed a little warmer than the weather is suddenly providing. That's a good thing. Good thing was being together last night with the Wisconsin Association of Meat Processors. Their 2025 Hall of Fame inductees. Got a chance to visit with them, probably longer than I should have. Let me introduce you to the two. Let's first start with a name that you're probably already familiar with. Fritz Usinger. He is the president of Fred Usinger Incorporated. He's the fourth generation of Usingers that's been driving that family meat processing business, and he says the fifth generation is on the way. In fact, I think they were along with him last night for the big banquet. I asked Fritz how they managed to keep the family so engaged. He says, well, you know, when you look at it as an art form, you look at it, your heritage, he said it's much more easier to keep them engaged. Fritz Usinger, one of the Hall of Fame inductees into the Wisconsin Meat Industry Hall of Fame. And then there's Dan Sutherland. He grew up in the Milwaukee area, didn't come from a farming background, but his family was in the livestock business. They ran and managed the Milwaukee livestock yards. When Dan got started in the business, he was working with his dad who was doing cattle. He wanted Dan to take over the hog side of the business, and that's exactly what he did. 1982, Dan moved over to Johnsonville, where he became a head of sow, S-O-W, procurement. I said to him, I didn't realize that sows were so important to making tasty sausages. He said, oh yeah, because sows have a healthy balance of both fat and lean, and that's exactly what they were looking for. Both agreed that the industry has definitely changed over the course of their careers, but Dan also mentioned one of the nice things is being able to look at the young people that are coming up in the meat processing industry and know that you probably had something to do with influencing them or helping them out. Two super fellas. Now remember, the Wisconsin Meat Processors will continue with their convention through tomorrow about lunchtime or so at the Marriott West. Really encourage people to get your travel plans lined up if you're going to the Midwest Horse Fair. This beautiful weather is going to bring out big crowds, and that means parking will be at a premium. Barrel cheese today, a premium, up 2.5 at $1.80.5. 40-pound block cheese up a half, $1.74.5. Double A butter up a penny and a half, $2.34 3/4. Now I got to decide, Joshy, if I'm going to go maybe have a free hot dog on my meat processors, or am I going to go out and see all the buckles, all the bedazzlement at the Midwest Horse Fair? I got to decide how many dogs are left in this body to be beat feeding it around today.
I was going to say too, if you needed a nap in that as well, you got a lot going on.
That's the key. Just keep moving. If I sit down, it'll be.
Yep, I'm the same way. Well, happy Friday, Pam. You have a good weekend.
Yep. See you later, Joshy.
Now we want to get to a recall alert at the noon hour. Due to Farm Fresh Foods is warning consumers that a batch of ready-to-eat celery sticks are at risk of listeria. The advisory comes more than 1,500 cases of 4-pack market-sized celery sticks. They were distributed and sold in Walmart stores across multiple states, including Wisconsin. All the potentially affected units are past their expiration date and no longer for sale, but some consumers may have frozen them for later use. If you have the product included in your freezer, you should throw it out. Well, warmer temperatures are on the way. It's going to be a great weekend to get outside. Here's meteorologist Savannah Brito with the first warn forecast. Hi, Savannah.
Hi, Josh. Yeah, it's looking like an absolutely beautiful weekend, including today. Temperatures are already close to 50. Today's also the last day of Severe Weather Awareness Week in the state of Wisconsin. This last graphic is just going to cover where is the best place to seek shelter when you're dealing with a tornado warning or really any severe weather. The lower you can get a side of flash flood, flooding, you're gonna get higher, but the lower you can get with any other types of severe weather is the best case scenario. Basement, but if you don't have one, if you live in a townhouse without a basement, an apartment complex, other buildings like that, you wanna put as many walls as you can between you and the outside. So basically halls, bathrooms, closets, any interior room, the closest to the center is the best place you can be. Basement is the best place. And obviously you also want to protect your head. A helmet's good. Also you could use a pillow or a mattress, something to really cover your head to avoid any blunt force trauma, because a lot of people lose their life because of that when severe weather does occur. These are a list, the next upcoming spotter training. This is something that the National Weather Service office does. It's about 2 hours and it's free. Anyone can go out and do that. And then they'll explain and show you how to become a storm spotter when we have severe weather. We do get reports, and that's how the National Weather Service can dictate what kind of occurred, and they'll factor in that information. But the next one, April 14th in Monroe, we'll post this on Facebook. There's several during the month of April and even into early May, because we are getting into severe weather season. We've already had severe weather alerts, including tornado warnings last week. 47 right now, so temperatures warming up nicely. We've got that sunshine and winds are still calm. We're not dealing with the fog that we had earlier this morning, which is good news. By 4 p.m. temperatures are expected to rise still in the lower to mid 50s. A couple areas could even top out in the upper 50s because of the sunshine. Still think will be partly sunny the rest of the day. Sunshine though to start tomorrow for the return of the farmers market on the square, but it will be a cold start, so probably going to want to have a jacket or at least a sweatshirt. Not really going to need that by the end of the day. Highs are going to get into the lower 60s tomorrow. By 10 a.m. we'll be already up to 47, and then expecting those mid to even upper 50s by the time 1 p.m. is starting. We'll see warmer weather all weekend. That includes Sunday, but I do think that'll be the worst of the 2 days just because we are tracking some isolated thunderstorms and pretty breezy conditions. Gusts could top out about 30 to 35 miles per hour, but gusts or sustained winds will be up to 20. So yes, it'll be the warmer day, but overall not going to shape up to a great day. It won't be a washout for rain though. This is Saturday showing dry conditions, but by Sunday morning, some of that rain starts to move in, at least northwest of here, and some pretty heavy rain too. I think we'll see pockets of heavy showers, but again, I don't think it's going to last all day off and on. But the outlook, this is over the next 7 days, so we're really hitting on that time frame Sunday into Monday, does show that we could see a couple tenths of an inch of rain. I do think it could be a little bit higher than that, those areas that see the pockets of heavy rain, but some models suggesting that breaking up at least a little bit before it gets here. So just have an umbrella handy before heading out Sunday and Monday if you do have to be out. At least temperatures will still be mild, so we're not talking about snow, and maybe, I don't want to jinx us, but maybe we're over that hump, because on average, the last trace of snowfall, we've already gotten past that date. So there's some good news.
Fingers crossed.
I know, I don't want any more snow.
All right, Savannah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences is adding a new Oscars category for stunt design. The CEO of the Academy says stunts have been an integral part of filmmaking since the early days of cinema. The inaugural award will be for films released in 2027. More than 100 stunt professionals are members of the Academy's production and technology branch. The last new category the Academy created was for achievement in casting. The inaugural award for that is for films released this year. Now let's see what Howard's working on in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
We've got a change of pace main dish that's bound to be one of your new weeknight favorites. If your dinner routine is getting a bit boring, then you're gonna love what we're making today. It's sort of a cross between an overstuffed Italian sub and a cheesy strudel. Let me show you how easy this one is to throw together. We start by laying out a couple cans of refrigerated crescent dough so it sort of looks like a starburst. It's okay if the tips of the dough hang over the edge of the pizza pan. We top that with some roasted peppers. Just make sure they're drained really well. Now we add all the stuff that we would typically find in an Italian sub. You know, provolone, salami, and deli ham. We top that with some Italian seasoning and pickled pepper rings, and drizzle it with a bit of Italian dressing. On top of that goes another layer of meat and more cheese and the rest of the dressing. Now all we have to do is fold the tips of the dough over the filling and tuck them in under the center. Once that's done, we bake this off until it's golden and the filling is piping hot. Imagine serving this with all its ooey goodness for a quick weeknight dinner, along with a big tossed salad. I sure hope you'll go online and get the recipe for our layered Italian crescent ring so you'll have something new to get you out of the old what's for dinner rut. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a fun new way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
Here's Savannah with a final check.
Thank you, Josh. Temperatures still expected to be in the lower to mid 50s this afternoon. We're already topping out close to 50 right now at the lunchtime hour. Not a bad looking forecast tomorrow for the Dane County's farmer market that's making a return. Lower 60s. I think it'll be a cold start, but at least we'll see the 60s and some sunshine later in the day. 66 Sunday, but I do think we'll have to deal with some showers, isolated thunderstorms. I don't think anything's going to be severe. The best chance of severe weather is kind of towards the Cincinnati, Ohio area. Could see some isolated thunderstorms here into Monday, though, and then that'll pull in some cooler air. We're only going to be in the lower 50s Tuesday, but that'll be short-lived. More upper 50s and sunshine by Wednesday.
All right, Savannah, thank you. Thanks for joining us today at noon, everyone. Have a great weekend. We're back with more on Live at 4.